So growing up in the space that I grew up in at home, there was a lot of turbulence. There was a lot of volatility, anger, outbursts, lots of control. And at school, I realize now, looking back, that there was some bullying that I experienced and rejection. I was always that kid that was picked last. And because I was such a hyper kid, I just entered life like, let's do this. I was wild and loved to be barefoot all the time. I always wanted to find my place, though, even as a little kid, just wanting to find my people and my group and play with everybody, and was always smiling. So one of the things my parents would always say is like, "Why can't you be good?" And on every report card, it said, "Angie's a great student, but she lacks self-discipline and she can't sit still and she's always daydreaming and she's always too talkative," and all of those things. So I grew up under this cloud of I can never be good enough. There's something wrong with me. And what I've come to know about that now is trauma begets trauma. So my parents were two very traumatized people trying to raise children, and as a result, that trauma translated and was given, handed down to my brother and myself. And we both ended up doing things differently. My dad was a survivor of extreme childhood trauma, and he went through the Vietnam War, and he had lots of untreated PTSD and would have nightmares and flashbacks. And many times I would hide under my bed in fear, because he didn't know what he was doing when he was in that frame of mind. And my mom was a survivor of suicide. Her father committed suicide when I was 3 years old, my grandfather. And so we were all walking around in these traumatized bodies, living these traumatized lives, but trying to fake it till we made it. And we never did make it. So that question of why can't you just be good really came from people that felt like if they could look like they had it together, then they were okay. And so you're never going to, as a child, feel like you could ever measure up in that space. So what I've come to know is I don't have to fight to belong anymore. I don't have to try to earn my place in the world. That generational trauma, I heal what I can heal in my life, and I allow those other people in my family of origin to figure that out for themselves. That's not my responsibility anymore. And there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not a bad person. I've learned that I really do, after doing some inner child work, like that little kid. I love that little Angie, and I've come to really create this relationship through doing some deep inner child work of fun and play. And we might spill our bubbles and we don't get yelled at anymore for that, or we can run around barefoot all we want to. So I just encourage you that if you're feeling like you'll never measure up, that you'll never be good enough, just take a step back, take a deep breath, exhale, and know that you are not bad. That there is people that know how you're feeling that you can reach out to, and that there's hope um, waiting for you on the other side.